Hello viewers, welcome to APGNation.com and to my review of The Order 1886. The Order 1886 is a PS4 exclusive title set in an alternate London setting of 1886 that focuses on the ongoing war between humans and half-breeds, which are essentially half human, half Lycan, which is a fancy word for werewolves. In this alternate universe, engineers have created technologies far ahead of their time to give humans an advantage over the half-breeds, and a society known as the Order houses specially trained knights to fight the Lycans and keep the peace. You play as Sir Galahad, a knight of the Order that is tasked with keeping the peace and a slayer of Lycans, but of course this story is filled with politics, betrayals, revenge, rebellions, and a surprising amount of drama. Now as you can see, the Order is drop dead gorgeous. I mean, one of the best games I have ever seen, and it keeps up the cinematic look and feel throughout the entire game with no noticeable frame rate issues or visual hiccups of any kind. The 18th century architecture and locations are hauntingly beautiful, the lifelike character models are impressively detailed, and even the props and objects that you observe or interact with look incredible. I also praise the direction of the story and characters that are brought to life with superb voice acting that resulted in believable and lifelike characters. All of this combines together to create one of the most cinematic video games ever. The language and the way all of the characters interact with each other is also a highlight, always using formally respectful language in every conversation, and it is also nice to see some strong female characters in the game. Unfortunately, the story overall is pretty cliche, filled with betrayals that are so obvious and predictable, it just falls flat in the end. I'm pleased to say that the combat in this game is solid and for the most part satisfying, as you will be fighting waves upon waves of rebels and general baddies throughout the game, as well as fighting Lycans every now and then. Shifting between cover is easy with a touch of a button. You can also blind fire, look around or above cover to get a better sense of where the enemies are hiding, and then jump out for that perfect headshot. So the cover-based shooting is solid, but what really makes it a lot of fun is the unique weapons you'll be using. Sure, you will still have your standard weapons such as rifles, sniper rifles, shotguns, handguns, and assault rifles, but every now and then you get to utilize some unique weapons such as a gun that can shoot bolts of electricity, an assault rifle that can stun enemies by blasting compressed air at them, and most notably, the thermite rifle. The most original weapon in the game, the thermite rifle first fires magnesium rounds that create a mist that you then ignite with your secondary fire that releases a kind of flare to burn your enemies from behind cover. It's a unique weapon and I loved using it. The only problem is all of the battles just feel the same. They are mostly just made up of cover-based shooting with waves and waves of enemies coming at you at once, and when they are all dead you move on to the next area and do the same thing again. There is a time or two when you actually get to fight an Apex Lycan in a kind of boxing battle, but they are easy to play out and fully rely on QuickTime events to complete, which is the major problem of the Order. The gameplay relies too heavily on QuickTime sequences. You use them for pretty much every physical scene in the game. I mean, the only time I personally really liked it is when you were sneaking around and you have to perfectly time a button press to get a perfect silent takedown, which to me was thrilling and satisfying. Something that also wore itself out was when you examine objects. At times you get the opportunity to rotate items in your hands to examine or admire them, and when I did this the first couple of times it was cool and I liked it, but again it is overused and is used for everything you pick up. The bottom line is that The Order 1886 is the most linear title I've played in a long time. There is no freedom, not much thought is needed from the player, just like a movie doesn't need any involvement from the viewer. The game chooses when it's an action or a stealth sequence, it chooses what weapons you have to use in that particular fight, and you never have any say in the matter. And to top it all off, it only took me around 6 to 7 hours to complete the game on normal, and the ending is terrible. It is not even an ending. The Order 1886 is the most cinematic game I have ever played, and that is the game's major downfall. Style over substance. The overused QuickTime events, the overused set pieces and combat sequences just made me question a lot. Because to be honest, I really enjoyed The Order. I really did. It was a fun ride with satisfying cover-based shooting with believable characters, but by the end of the game I just thought to myself, is that really it? So finally, overall, The Order 1886 is a cinematic masterpiece with believable, likable characters, satisfying gunplay, with some unique weapons, and even at times chilling and dark moments. So in the end, I think you should only pick up The Order 1886 when it's on sale. It is not worth the full price, but if you do manage to get it cheap, then you will not regret it, as it's still a cinematic masterpiece that just needed to get the player more involved in more ways than just QuickTime events. So for everything else gaming, keep locked on to apgnation.com.
Everything to your liking thus far?
Quite. Just another ordinary London morning.
Indeed.